Hi guys, welcome to another video. In today's video, we'll be going through like what an interview looks like for a top product-based company like D, Shaw, Facebook, Microsoft, Google. We have with us Deepak. Deepak, can you give us a brief introduction about yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Varun. So, hello everyone. So, I'm Deepak Kasera. Currently, I'm working as a software development engineer one at Amazon. So, before Amazon, I worked for RCGM and Samsung. So, yeah. So, today we'll be doing a couple of questions for like how interview for a product-based company generally looks like. So, yeah.
Okay, so let's see. Stick till the
Yeah.
end of the video and see if Deepak is able to solve the problem that I gave him. So yeah. So let's start. So hi Deepak. So in this interview, what we'll be doing is I'll be giving you a coding problem, and let's try to think of a solution for it, and then let's try to write a end-to-end like running code for the same. Okay. Language is no constraint for me, whatever language you are comfortable in. So let's jump into the problem. So think that I give you a 2D matrix. Okay.
Okay.
This matrix only contains zeros and ones. Okay. So let's say that you are given 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 0. Then you are given, wait, let me just copy this here. Then you are given, so let's imagine you are given 4 rows and 5 columns, a matrix, and you have a set of ones in this matrix. Okay. So 1, 1. Okay. So what I want is, I want the number of counts such that the number of ones form a group together. For example, in this case, if you see these ones, this, this one, and this one, these three ones, they are all together. Like if you are at one of the ones, you can reach to the other ones without having to go through a zero. You can directly reach to them, right? But if you are in this case, there is only one such one. And here, there is another one such one. So if I ask you the number of groups, those number of groups are basically 3 over here. Okay, think of it in another way. Let's like make it more real world. So for example, that you have these zeros are water, and this one is like a land mass.
Okay.
Okay, so I want to tell how many distinct land masses are there in this entire water like scenario. So here there is this one landmass which is connected, then there is this another landmass, and then another. So there are three such landmasses that you can reach without going into water.
So, if multiple land masses are connected, so we'll be counting that as a single land mass, right?
Yeah, nice
Okay.
point. So suppose you had a
Yeah.
one over here. In that case, this would be just one landmass. This entire
Correct.
this
Row
this
and this one, correct.
this would be
Entire
one.
column.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and
So
this would
total
be
will be having two land. Answer will count of land masses will be two for this
yeah,
example,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
Okay. Got it. Okay. Shall I move it?
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So. So typically, Varun, so I can see that if all the ones are connected, right?
Yeah.
If n number of ones are connected, so we'll be counting that as a one landmass, right?
Okay.
And if if any one of them is not connected to any other one,
Okay.
so we'll be counting them as another landmass, right? So we'll be incrementing our count. So
Okay.
this problem I can see uh, let's say if I consider all these zeros and ones as a nodes, okay.
Yeah.
So let's say we have in this example we have 20 nodes,
Okay.
right? Okay, so 4 into 4 5. So
Yeah.
correct. So if we consider all water and landmass as nodes of a graph,
Yeah.
okay, so basically I need to find the connected component. So let
Okay.
me just briefly tell you that what is a connected component if we talk about a graph. So a connected component is a component where in which every node can be reached from every other node of a graph.
Okay.
Correct. So in this example, let's say our component is starting from the zeroth row and the third column. right? And then the complete column is a connected component along with the one that is present on the left side of the second one in that column, right?
Okay. Okay.
So this is one connected component because everyone can be reached from every other one
Okay.
without without touching the uh, water component, right? So that is
Okay.
a only one condition for this problem, right? So
Okay.
another one component is the one that is in the bottom left corner.
Okay.
So for so the solution for this problem is number of land masses will be 2 for this, right?
Okay.
Okay, so basically this is a typical problem of finding number of connected components in a graph. So that
Okay.
can be done in various ways. So we can use standard algorithm of depth first search, correct?
Okay.
So okay, so we can use a depth first search. So what we'll do is we'll call DFS. We'll write a DFS function considering all these indexes as a vertices of a graph, right?
Okay.
And yeah, so we'll call the DFS, and one call for the DFS will give us the one particular connected component. So right, correct. Okay,
Can you
so
give
yeah,
me an example, like in
yeah.
this
For example,
example?
in this, yeah,
Yeah.
in this example, we'll start calling, let's say, from index number 00,
Okay.
the first top left corner. That is the
Can you
first
highlight that? Can you highlight that?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So this is the first element of this matrix. So we'll
Yeah.
start calling our depth first search function from this. So for this, so basically what is a DFS is? So DFS is the depth first search of a tree or a graph. So in this algorithm, we'll traverse along with the depth of that node. So
Okay.
whatever nodes are connected to that particular nodes, we'll first cover all the nodes in one depth. Then we'll start traversing the other adjacent nodes of that particular node. So for
Okay.
example, in this, for the first element 0, we have 3 connected nodes, right?
Yeah.
One on the left, one on the right, one on the bottom, and one of the diagonally bottom, right?
Okay.
So we have 3 connected nodes for this. So we can go along any one of these. So let's say we are traversing on the right side of the right side node, that is again 0. So
Yeah.
for this 0, we again now in this time we have 3 and 2, 5 connected nodes,
Yeah.
correct? So one on
Yeah.
the left, one on the right, one on the bottom, and one
Okay.
on the left diagonal and left bottom diagonal, and one on the right bottom diagonal.
Okay.
So we can traverse any one of these 5, but the left one is the parent of this current node, so we'll not traverse because we would have already marked that particular node as visited as of
Okay.
now, right? So we have 4 nodes remaining, so we can traverse any on any one of these 4 nodes. So
Okay.
let's say we are traversing on the right node. So again
Okay.
again this is 0.
Yeah.
So in the similar manner, we'll traverse on the right side. So that is
Okay.
1, right?
Okay.
So now, considering this one, we'll start traversing on all the adjacent nodes. So
Okay.
let's say, considering one of the case for the simplicity, mm, we'll traverse on the bottom node,
Okay.
right? And from the bottom node, that is again 1, we'll traverse on the left node, that is 1.
Okay. Okay.
From left one, we'll traverse on the diagonally bottom one, that is 1,
Okay.
and
Okay.
and from that one, we'll traverse again on the below of that node, so that is
Okay.
again 1. So this constitutes one connected component.
Okay.
Okay, so whenever we are in code, we'll write DFS algorithm in such a way, whenever we are encountering a 0, after
Yeah.
we are encountering a 1, right?
Yeah.
So in the code, we'll try to capture, basically we'll try to traverse all the ones connected to a particular node or connected to a particular one,
Okay.
right? Okay, out of all the choices of all the nodes, we'll first traverse only those nodes which are 1,
Okay.
correct? So in this uh, particular case, we will get this particular connected component,
Okay.
right? And once after, in the same manner, when the call will come to this one, the
Yeah.
bottom left corner, this will be counted as a single landmass, and
Okay.
for that answer would be 2.
Okay.
Am I
So
clear with my approach?
yeah, but I had like a follow-up question. So you
Mm-hmm.
said that you are at this one, you start traversing to the other ones, right?
Right? Mm-hmm.
What if like, so you are traversing and then you reach to this one for the next time? How will you handle that? Like, How are you handling that?
Okay, this depth first search algorithm will take care of all these cases. So this
Okay.
is not necessary that from this, but so
Okay.
let's say from this, the one that is that I am highlighting right now,
Yeah.
is the highlighted with the blue one. So this
Yeah.
is not necessary that the first call will go to the bottom, the one that is below that particular one. So
Okay.
it might be possible that the first, basically depth first search is a recursive algorithm, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that will first go to the, let's say, on the right side, but that is zero, right?
Okay.
So we'll again come to that one, and
Yeah.
will once all the recursive calculation for this zero is done,
Yeah.
right? Then we'll come to that one again to
Okay.
traverse remaining nodes or remaining connected nodes of this particular one.
Okay. Okay. Let's get into the code for this and see like what corner
Yeah.
cases are. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So let's say I can write a function int that will return an integer, and we can name that function as count number of let's say landmasses.
Okay.
In this will be given as a matrix, int matrix, correct,
Yeah.
and will be given let's say n comma m.
Okay.
Yeah. So before jumping onto the code, I would like to highlight one point. So every node can have maximum 8 adjacent nodes, right? So
Yeah.
let's consider a middle one, this
Okay.
zero that I have highlighted with the blue. So
Yeah.
this have 8 connected components.
Yeah.
So sorry, not connected components, 8 adjacent nodes.
Okay.
Whether they are connected or not, that will figure out in the later part of the code. But this
Okay.
node have 8 adjacent nodes. What
Okay.
are those 8 adjacent nodes? One top, one below,
Yeah.
and left, right, and 4 diagonals.
Okay.
Correct. So to cover all these cases, we can have a loop over the 8 integers, right?
Okay.
But for the simplicity part, what we can do is, let's say, mm, I'm taking two arrays,
Okay.
so that will be -1. So, okay. So let me clarify this point. So from I comma j, we can go, let's say we are going onto the right. So the
Yeah.
index will become I comma j plus 1, right?
Okay.
Let's write all the 8 possibilities. So this is the right part. If we are going onto the left, so that will become I comma j minus 1.
Yeah.
If we are going on to the bottom, then that would become I plus 1 and j. And if we are going above that node, that would become I minus 1 j,
Okay.
right? Uh, if we are going in the diagonal direction, so that, let's say, I plus 1 j plus 1 would be one possibility, correct? If we are coming diagonally down
Yeah.
one
Yeah.
node. If we are going diagonally up one node, so that would become I is in decreasing basically, and j is increasing. Make sense?
Okay.
Yeah. And if you are going diagonally up, but on the left side,
Okay.
so that would become I is also decreasing, j is also decreasing. If you are coming diagonally down on the left side, so I is increasing, but j is decreasing.
Okay.
So basically, what I am doing is, so whatever I am adding or subtracting to the I will take that numbers into the
Okay.
row num array, and whatever I am adding or subtracting, whether I am doing +1 plus or -1, I'll represent all those numbers into the column num matrix.
Okay.
Okay, so let me write, and I'll then clarify it to you. So for example, in the first index, I we are not adding anything to the I, right?
Yeah.
So we can have it as 0. In the second index, 0 as well. So third index 1, fourth index -1, fifth index 1, sixth index -1, seventh index -1, and eighth index 1.
Okay.
Similarly, the column number matrix, this is 1, -1, 0, and 0, 1, 1, -1, and 1.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's move ahead. Okay, so now basically what we have to do is we have to write a code for the DFS algorithm. So
Okay.
DFS is basically a simple recursive algorithm that will traverse along with the nodes in the depth first manner. So
Okay.
whichever node comes in the depth as the first place, that will be traversed first.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So so let's say so the size of the row num and the column num matrix is 8.
Okay.
Correct? Makes sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So in the depth first search, we maintain a Boolean matrix for the to mark the nodes as visited or unvisited.
Okay.
Right. So for this, we have to take a Boolean matrix. So let's say we are taking a visited matrix of size n cross m.
Okay.
And initially, I'm just writing a pseudocode for this, and I'm initializing this matrix as false. So
Okay.
initially, nothing is visited, right?
Okay.
Every node is unvisited in the beginning,
Okay.
and we'll start marking the visited nodes as visited once we uh, once we come once we'll start traversing the graph.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So let's start. Cool. So initially, all those nodes are marked as visited. Cool. So for every particular node, so we have these 8 nodes are basically the maximum possibility,
Yeah.
right? And for example, let's say we are at the first index, zero
Yeah.
zero index, the node that I've highlighted. So for this node, we have only 3 possibilities. The 5 possibilities are not feasible for this particular node, right? So
Okay.
before writing before coming to the actual depth first search code, we can write a function. Let's say bool is safe. So if safe is, so let's say we are at index I comma j, right?
Yeah.
And from I comma j, we are trying to go to x comma y index. So
Okay.
first we need to validate that whether that x comma y index is a valid index for this particular matrix or not.
Okay.
So let's say we this x comma y is not the current index. This index is the future index on which we'll be coming,
Okay.
on which we'll be jumping from the current node. So if so this is a pretty easy thing that if x is greater than equal to 0 and x is less than n and y is greater than equal to 0 and y is less than m. So we'll return true, otherwise we'll return false.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
cool. So from now, so we have like all the basic things required for this to solve this problem. So now we just have to start writing the code for the DFS thing.
Okay.
Correct. So initially, let's say, okay, so let's start traversing the matrix.
Okay.
I less than n. So this is a loop to traverse the matrix.
Okay.
So we'll first check that if the current index is not visited, then only we'll start calling the DFS function over that.
Okay.
Okay. So if visited of current index, that is I comma j, is false.
Okay.
This is false. Then only we'll be doing something.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll do something.
Okay.
Else we don't have to do anything because that node has already been visited by some other recursive call. So
Okay.
we don't have to take care of that particular node because
Okay.
so we'll use this particular visited matrix in the DFS call as well. So we should not define this vertex, this visited array as the in the function. So we can
Okay.
define this as a global variable,
Okay.
right? So that every function will be having the access to this.
Okay.
Okay. So yeah. So if visited is false, then we'll do something. So basically, we'll call the DFS function
Okay.
in this. Okay. Else we'll not do anything.
Okay.
Okay. So what we'll do is okay. So yeah, Varun.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cool. So what we'll do now, Varun, is, so if we'll check, so basically what we need to count is if the given matrix is only having one, then only we'll need to count, right? Otherwise,
Okay.
we need not to count.
Okay.
Correct. So if the given matrix is let's say I comma j is equal to 1,
Okay.
right? Then we'll call the DFS. Uh,
Okay.
did I make sense to this
Yeah. Yeah.
point?
Yeah.
For this point?
Yeah.
Okay. So now let's say let's give name to the function as DFS. We'll pass matrix
Okay.
index I, index j, and visited is a this global thing, so we need not to pass that.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's say we can say that. Okay. So now let's write the DFS function.
Okay.
Sorry. So we are passing matrix and the current index. So now this row num and column num matrix will come into play, because now we need to figure out all the adjacent vertices of that of the current vertex. Correct?
Okay.
Okay. Okay. So the size of this matrix is 8. So first of all, we'll call is safe function, whether that sorry, let's take it as x or y.
Okay.
Y. So what we'll do is whether that I plus x and j plus y is safe, right? First of all, we need to check this. If this is safe and visited is false, I plus x, j plus y. So Varun, so this
Wait,
I
one
plus
sec.
x,
One
yeah,
sec. So this visited is a 2D matrix, right?
yeah, visited is a 2D matrix, correct?
Okay. And so you are going over 8 into 8, 64 possibilities, right? You are checking it's safe for all of them. Do you think this
नहीं
will
नहीं
work?
नहीं actually sorry, what we can do is, yeah, it's a good point, thanks.
Okay.
So we can do this. If row num of x and y will be column number of corresponding to x,
Okay.
right? So this is the thing.
Okay.
Thanks for that.
Yeah, go ahead. I think we have an extra bracket. Just remove one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so if that particular index I plus row num of x and j plus column number of x
Yeah.
is a safe point to go, is a safe index to go, and the visited for that particular is mm, false.
Okay.
And what we can do is, because we are like very particular about that, what we need to find, we need to find the matrices. Sorry, the land masses that includes one only.
Yeah.
So what we can do is we can do this as well. That if the upcoming matrix is upcoming index is 1,
Okay.
so we can take the index from here, right? And the second index would be j plus column number of x.
Okay.
If uh, if this is 1,
Okay.
make sense?
Okay.
Okay, so now what we need to do is we have figured out that where we have to go. Now we can call the DFS function on this particular node. So what we need to pass now is we need to pass the matrix, and we need to pass the current index on the upcoming index that we are going. So we are going on this index. So this is the second index. The first index is I plus row number.
Okay.
So the point here, Varun, is the number of times the DFS is getting called will be equal to the connected component. So there is a standard algorithm that how to find the number of connected components in a graph.
Okay.
So what we can do is we can start calling the DFS function from any one of its node, and we'll call the recursive function for every node. For every node, when we'll call the recursive DFS function, that will return that will be called the number of times as equal to the number of connected components in that.
Okay.
So we'll do the dry running for this on the particular example.
Okay.
So let's make it clear that if I am not doing anything wrong, so just let me go through my code once, then we'll dry run over this example.
Yeah. Where are you returning the count, like of the number?
So I'll what I'll do is I'll increase the count here.
Oh, okay.
And outside this function we'll return the count.
Okay.
Okay. So just
wait 1 sec. 1 sec. Let me just bring it on one page. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So save. Okay. Yeah, I think we are good. We can do the dry running.
Okay.
So let's start with this example.
Yeah.
Okay. So what we can do is we'll start from the 0th index. That is 0 0.
Yeah.
Okay. So the call will come to this 0 0. Initially visited is false for everything.
Yeah.
So okay. So to make it simpler, what we can do is we can merge this if calls, right? If this and this.
Okay.
Right. So this will look a bit more compact.
Okay.
So if visited is false and matrix is 1, then only we'll take care that particular node into consideration.
Okay.
So first node is not 1. So
Okay.
we'll leave that. Again 0, again 0. Now we have encountered the first one.
Okay.
The visited for this particular is false.
Yeah.
Right. And visited is false and the number is 1.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll come to the DFS function. The call will go to the DFS function. So DFX. So for this particular DFS, for this particular node, we can go for 4 nodes.
Can you highlight where you are in the code?
Yeah. So I am currently at this node. So row number 0 and column number 3.
Oh no, I mean like in the code, where you are in the code, like.
Yeah. So currently I've just called the DFS function.
Okay.
So I'm just currently here. So we'll start traversing over this 4 loops.
Okay, got it. Okay.
And before calling the DFS function, what we can do is we'll mark this node as visited. Yeah, you can copy this. This is
okay.
So this is we are at the so we have how many possibilities we have: left, right, down, and 2 diagonals.
Yeah.
So we have 5 possibilities. So we'll not go on the left because that is already visited, and that is also a 0.
Okay.
Again, we similarly will not go onto the right because that is a 0 index, and will not go onto the right diagonal, lower diagonal, because that is again a 0. So we now have 2 possibilities to traverse, one below to the current node and one below left diagonal to the current node.
Okay.
So let's say we'll traverse onto the below.
Okay.
Similarly, for this particular one that is highlighted currently with the blue, that I've selected. So for this node, we'll traverse over this. For this also, for this one as well, we have two possibilities, whether we can go on to the left or below to
Okay.
this one, because
Yeah.
the above one is already visited.
Okay.
Correct. So whenever we are calling the DFS function onto the next node, we are marking this node as visited, right, Varun?
Okay.
Right. The line currently that I'm highlighting.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So similarly, we have now currently we are on this one, we are on this one, we are on this one.
Okay.
Okay. So now we don't have any adjacent neighbor to this. Correct.
Okay.
Any valid adjacent neighbor, because we
Yes.
have 5 neighbors to this, whether they are 0 or the one neighbor that is 1, but that has already been visited.
Which neighbor has
Will
been
not
visited?
the upper one.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So now the recursive call will backtrack. Correct.
Okay.
So now the recursive call will return to this upper one. The recursive call will go to will return to upper one. Now for this one that I have marked,
Yeah.
that I have selected in the matrix.
Yeah.
Now for this one, we have one possibility remaining to traverse over this, right,
Okay.
onto the left one, because that is first of all, that is not visited as of now, and
Yeah.
that the number is 1.
Yeah.
Both of the condition are getting satisfied, so we'll traverse onto the left one. So now this will constitute to one recursive call.
Okay.
Correct. To one DFS call, basically, not a
Yeah.
recursive call, successful DFS call.
Okay.
After this DFS call, we'll again return to the our actual this function, that count number of land masses,
Okay.
because one DFS call has been successfully completed. Now
Okay.
we'll increase the count.
Okay.
Now, okay. So now we'll start traversing. We'll keep continuing to traverse our matrix using these for loops.
Okay.
So whatever has been marked visited will be skipped.
Okay.
And okay. So now the next traversal will begin on this one, that the bottom left corner.
Yeah. Yeah, I get it. I think, yeah. So this will work and you will
So
increase your
for
count,
this,
right?
for this
So,
particular one, we'll only have one call.
yeah, I had a follow-up question. So I think that this will work logically, but there is a small mistake in the way you are marking your visited. Can you find that?
Okay. So visited, we should mark it after the DFS call.
Like you think like what is happening? Like say,
Yeah.
just give
Yeah.
it a thought. Like suppose you are at this one. If you look at
So,
this screen.
yeah. So this should be done. So whenever we are calling a DFS function, we should, as soon as we are calling a DFS function on a node,
Yeah.
so we should call that particular node on as a visited.
Yeah.
Sorry, this should be IG.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it correct now?
Yeah, this seems fine now. Yeah. So, okay. Yeah, I think this will work, and then you're incrementing the count and returning that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So, what will be the time complexity of the solution?
Okay, so the time complexity for a DFS call is E log V. E is the
Okay.
number of edges, and V is the number of vertices in a graph. So for this particular solution, we'll be having n cross m.
Okay.
Yeah, so total amortized time complexity will be n cross m itself, because will not be that DFS call will also reduce the number of nodes as well. So the amortized time complexity for this solution is n cross m itself.
Okay. How is DFS reducing the number of nodes? Like,
Yeah, so DFS call, whenever we are calling a DFS node, so lot of number of calls are getting lot of this indexes are getting skipped here, right? So
yeah.
when this for loops will be executed, nested for loops, so whether this DFS call is marking most of the nodes as visited,
Okay.
right? So this nested for loops will not be executed for all the nodes.
Okay.
Yeah, for just we saw that in this example, all these zeros
Okay.
were marked as
Like they'll be
visited.
visited for all the nodes, but you're saying you might not go inside DFS. You might not keep calling DFS from them, right? Like,
Exactly, right.
yeah. Okay.
So if we are not calling the DFS, the amortized time complexity will be n cross m itself.
Okay. And what about the space complexity?
So we are using just visited space, so n cross m. for visited array that we are maintaining. And apart from that, there will be some function stack that
Okay.
that must have used inside the memory.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, I think this will work. Cool. Thank you.
Thank you, Varun.
So, Deepak, you were able to solve the problem. Great. I think this was like a perfect interview example where like you know the approach, you are coming up with corner cases, and then like taking some hint from the interviewer, and you are able to like make your code work perfectly. So I think that went well, right?
Yeah, so this is actually, Varun, so how a typical product-based company interviews look like. So
Yeah.
we have, yeah, so generally we have to solve a couple of problems in 1 hour.
Yeah.
So yeah, so one problem, for one particular problem, we get around 25 to 30, 35 minutes.
Yeah.
So yeah, so in that 30 minutes, you have to do everything, right? So you have to think of the approach, you have to write the code, you have to explain your approach to the interviewer.
Yeah.
And sometimes you have to take the hints from the interviewer as well, right?
Yeah.
So it's not possible that one candidate is able to solve full problem perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is it.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Deepak. So guys,
Thank
let's
you, Varun.
yeah, thank you. So guys, let's wait for the next video to find out what another product-based company interviews look like. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.
For new programming updates and videos, subscribe to Coding Ninjas channel.